Have you ever felt a place calling to you? A whisper on the wind, promising solitude, inspiration. That's what I felt when I first saw the old windmill. Perched on a lonely hill, its sails were skeletal against the bruised twilight sky. I was a writer, a writer in desperate need of an ending for my novel. This place, I thought, this would be my sanctuary. The locals warned me, of course. They spoke of the miller who built it, a man consumed by his own stories, who eventually vanished, leaving only the endless turning of the sails and the whispers carried on the wind. I dismissed it as folklore, the romantic ramblings of a secluded village. I was a man of logic, of ink and paper. What did I have to fear from whispers? The first few days were blissfully silent. The only sound was the scratching of my quill and the gentle creak of the ancient wood around me. My story began to flow, the characters taking on a life of their own. But then the wind picked up. It wasn't a storm, not in the traditional sense. It was a mournful sigh that snaked through the cracks in the walls, a voice without a mouth. It began subtly. A phrase here, a sentence there, echoing the very words I had just written. I'd pause, quill hovering over the parchment, my heart a frantic drum against my ribs. Coincidence, I told myself, an overactive imagination fueled by isolation. My protagonist, a man haunted by a past mistake, was finding his path. The whispers seemed to agree. But soon the whispers weren't just echoing my work, they were anticipating it. They started dictating the story. At night, as I tried to sleep, the wind would howl, not with rage, but with narrative. It spoke of a man's guilt, a secret he buried long ago. The story was familiar, terrifyingly so. It was my story. The details were impossible for anyone to know. Secrets I had carried since my youth, a shadow that had clung to me like a second skin. The windmill wasn't just a structure of wood and stone. It was a confessional, and the wind was its priest, demanding my penance. My protagonist on the page was no longer a fictional creation. He was me, his every fear, his every regret, laid bare. I tried to fight it. I tried to change the narrative, to write a different ending for my character, a happier one. But the whispers were relentless. They twisted my words, turning my attempts at redemption into darker, more tragic paths. The ink on the page seemed to bleed with a will of its own, forming the sentences the wind commanded. I was no longer the author. I was the scribe, a puppet whose strings were pulled by an unseen force. The line between my life and the story had dissolved. I realized the tale the windmill wanted to tell wasn't about my character's ending, but my own. It was a story of fate, of a guilt that could not be outrun, no matter how far one retreated from the world. Now, I sit here, my novel nearly complete. The ending is not the one I intended, but the one that was chosen for me. The whispers have grown quieter, content. They have their story. The final chapter describes a writer trapped in a windmill, his inkwell running dry, his own story forever etched into a turning of the sails. The villagers say the old miller was a writer too, a man who came here seeking an ending. I wonder if he ever found it, or if he's still here, a part of the whispers, waiting for the next storyteller to arrive. As the sun sets, the sails begin to turn, slowly, rhythmically. The wind is picking up again, and it's starting to sound like a new story, a new beginning. I just hope it's not mine. Thanks for listening. If you enjoy mysteries that blur the line between reality and the supernatural, be sure to subscribe for more stories from the edge of imagination. System offline. Story complete.